confusion in the midst. We'll all understand clearly what everybody else is saying, and then we will be able to move forward. What if we could measure President Barack Obama's tenure by the tenure of Kwame Nkrumah, Robert Mugabe, Patrice Lumumba, and Sekou Toure? What if we could do that? See, within our consciousness, we think he's the first black president of anything. Because we don't know history. He's not even the first black president. Did you know that? Yeah, look on the back of your $2 bill.
Thank you. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
$2 bill.
Get your magnifying glass and say, I wonder who that brother is sitting behind that little table back there. Well, one of the brothers stand up there, Alexander Hamilton, you know, he's from Barbados. You know what that means, don't you? Yeah. But let's put President Obama against, or let's compare him to African presidents, and let's see where he stands. Why did Robert Mugabe shout President Barack Obama down when President Barack Obama was trying to deliver the eulogy of Nelson Mandela? What was Robert Mugabe mad at? Why was he heckling President Obama? How come President Obama couldn't get a clear word out? Why did they have to bleep what Robert Mugabe was saying? Why did Jomo Kenyatta's son, who is not a president of Kenya, basically in all actuality tell President Obama, you don't ever have to come back here again? Why do African heads of state not like President Obama? So you need to ask questions. Because maybe he's representing something that they despise. Maybe there's something in his policies that they recognize as being a continuation of the past, not a break from it. But it's not until we sit down and study history and learn these things that we'll know what to look for. In conclusion, there are 4 things that as academicians we identify as being necessary for you to have knowledge of self. These 4 things are things that are absolutely necessary for you to have knowledge of self. You have to have a knowledge of your origin. You have to know where you come from. You have to know your biological point of reference, your ancestral point of reference, and your spiritual point of reference. You need to know who your kinfolks are. Like the old folks say, you need to know who your kinfolks are because you might marry your cousin. Any of you ever brought somebody home and grandmama just look at them? Why are they looking? They don't say nothing. They sit there and just look. And then they call somebody else in, Aunt Peg, and she sit there and she look. And then she walk out. And then Uncle so-and-so come in, he look like this. And then here the question is, who your people? See, why do they do that? Because they know members of their family been around. They know that. So they just ask a question. But do you know how fulfilling it is for you to find your kinfolk? They got television shows about it, where people who have reached the stardom of success, but they say they're incomplete because they don't know where they come from. And whenever they look into those books and they see themselves at the probate office or whatever, they start crying. It's the same for everybody. Why? Because when you find out your origin, that is connecting you to your past. You know, my dad was born in Gaston, Alabama, and when I go through Gaston, I got to ride down the streets that he walked down as a little boy. I recently preached at a church where a lot of people were at that church that knew him when he was little, and his mama, and his auntie.
All right.
Yeah. And so whenever I go there, you know, and I get out and I walk, hadn't done it in a while, I always walk and somebody asks me, what you doing here? Who are you? And I said, well, my kinfolk used to stay in that house right there. Who are your kinfolk? And I said, Robert White. And they said, Lord have mercy. They run in the house, start calling people. Next thing you know, folk pulling up. I remember when you were a little boy. How did that? You benefit them when you return. Yeah. If you don't know where you come from, you can't return. Sometimes you have to return back to where you come from. You're not going to stay, but you got to regroup. When you've been defeated, you got to go back to mama's house. And mama's kinfolk, because they're going to take care of you, they're going to heal your wounds, they're going to build you up, they're going to encourage you to get back in the fight. But when you're successful, you got to go back to daddy's house. Because what's your daddy going to say? Well, you didn't do this. You didn't do that. Yeah, that may be fine and good. But what about this, boy? What about that? What is daddy doing? He's knocking you down off your prideful horse. It's called balance. In Africa, we call it ma'at. You got to have mama and daddy. Mama going to build you up, daddy going to tear you down. Need both. Mama do it tear it down, daddy do the building up. You see what I'm saying? Feminine and masculine, they work together. But you got to have both. Secondly, after origin, you have to have meaning. You have to understand what your meaning in life is. Meaning is not something you acquire from a degree. Meaning is what you're born into. You don't choose it, it chooses you. Everybody in here is somebody's son or daughter. Ask yourself a question. Are you a good one?
Yes.
Are you a good son? Are you a good daughter? By whose standards are you a good son and a good daughter? Did you do what your mom and daddy say? You see? Did you represent that name?
Yes.
How have you dealt with the inheritance that they left you? You see? Even an intellectual one. Are you perpetuating whatever it is that they left you? The legacy that they've given to you. You probably are somebody's brother or sister. Are you a good sibling? Are you a good sister to your older sisters? Are you a good sister to your brothers? Brothers, are you protecting your sisters? You wouldn't have all this teenage pregnancy if brothers did what they're supposed to do. I wouldn't let nobody get close to my sister. The only dude that got close to her, she married her. She married him. That was my job. Very protective. Brothers, we got to be on our job. Sisters, we got to be on our job. What about auntie and uncle? Anybody, auntie or uncle? Are you a good one? Anybody been whipped by aunt or uncle? They got to come on work to deal with their niece and nephew? Are they going to be happy? No. But what does auntie and uncle do? Auntie and uncle are the succors of the family. They're not personally connected with the child, so the child will tend to listen to them. Probably they will more than their mom and dad. But if the auntie and uncle is representing what the mom and daddy say, then the child will say, well, I guess I am wrong.
That's right.
Don't give children places to run.
That's right. That's right.
If you're in a culture, you can't run nowhere. You got to sit there and take the music. What if you are a husband or a wife? You see? Let me ask you this. Can you be husband and wife without being brother and sister? If you don't know how to be a brother or a sister, will you know how to be a husband or a wife? No. Then after husband and wife, dad and mom. See, we get it backwards. We'll be dad and mom before we have a brother and sister.
That's true.
That's meaning. Number 3, morality. What is my morality? How do I live out my meaning in life? Young people, learn to draw lines now.
Yeah.
Because peer pressure gets worse as you get older. How many know that? Make 6 digits and watch out what kind of pressure will come to you. Y'all heard of AEA? Yeah, I was Dr. Reed and Dr. Hubbard's legal guy for 2 years. Yeah. Can you imagine the pressure? Then went to the Secretary of State's office. At that high level, the pressure is just like being at the bottom of the ocean. It is so intense, you got to have on a suit to handle it.
All right.
And our people always want what you got. And they're always trying to knock you down from getting what it is that you have. That's life, baby. That's not going to change. But are you strong enough to deal with it? And are you going to compromise your morals and your values to obtain something? Don't do it. It's better to be broke, living under a bridge, than to compromise what it is you believe in. Don't take money from nobody. Don't make promises you can't keep. And do not compromise your integrity just to get ahead. Don't do it. Don't go with the flow. Don't go with the crowd. Go with God. And whatever consequence that you have to suffer because you went with God is called a cross. And in Luke 9:23, Jesus said, he said, unless you're willing to deny yourself and pick up your cross daily, not once a month, not during February, not just at the end of the year, but unless you're willing to do it daily and follow me, you can't even be my disciple. All right. He's deep with that word disciple. That word disciple is mathetes, and it means you can't even learn from your mistakes if self is in the way. You won't even grow through even your mess ups if self is in the way, because you'll just say, I can do it better the next time. Then finally, like my students always say, Dr. White, this whole semester you have taught us a lot, but where is it going to take me? As I take my seat, the 4th component of self-knowledge is destiny. You got to know where you're going to wind up.
Oh, yes.
If you follow the course that has been set before you. What is this Bible? This Bible is a constitution of Israel, of which all of you who believe in Jesus Christ, you are a member of Israel. This book tells you what is going to happen to you if you stand up for the truth. And if you are comfortable in knowing that at some point you will have to give up your career, have to give up your life, have to give up your money for the truth, because Jesus told you before you even went through the door. When it happens to you, you won't be shocked. The last sermon I preached in my church before I left was why does God start with the heart? Why does he start there? Because it is not until your heart is broken that you will accept the reality that until you are done wrong by the people you love the most, you will not understand the life and times in which we live. God bless you and God keep you.